Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about some different amendments. I know last time we talked about bone meal and blood meal. This time we're going to talk about alfalfa meal and kelp meal. Two fantastic amendments to add to your garden. Alfalfa meal is going to be a veganic form of actually adding nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and some trace minerals into your garden. You can use it indoors, you can use it outdoors. Typically, if we're using it indoors, because you're going to be in smaller containers, I go in at a little bit smaller amounts, more closer towards, like a tablespoon or two per gallon of soil that you're adding to it. Outdoors, you can go anywhere from 2 to 3 pounds per 100 square feet. Now, the benefits of adding alfalfa meal are going to be not only its trace minerals, but it also has a natural occurring growth hormone called tricantanol. Now, what tricantanol will do is it helps to create bigger and larger flowers. Now, the nice thing with alfalfa meal and even kelp meal too, it's extremely hard to overdo it. I know we talked about blood meal, very easy to burn your plants. Alfalfa meal is very hard to overdo it. On top of that, alfalfa meal doesn't take that long to break down. So usually, within 1 to 2 weeks, those nutrients are going to be available for your plants. So you can actually add this multiple times throughout your grow. Now, indoor gardening, I probably wouldn't add it more than one time in your vegetative growth, and then maybe one more time into flower. With it taking that long to break down, 2 to 3 weeks at the most, I would hit it maybe twice on an indoor garden. Outdoors, you can add this 2 to 3 times throughout the gardening season. If you're starting them outdoors, always start in the spring. Spring's the best time because you're going to have your nitrogen is going to be available, your trace minerals to help those plants get started, to build that root zone, and then add more if you're doing tomatoes, peppers, even cannabis plants, indoors or outdoors. That's going to help to create those larger, denser flowers. Now, alfalfa meal is a bit more alkaline. So for some plants that allow more acidic things, like your rhododendrons and different types of flowers, blueberries, I would kind of stay away from this or add more sulfur to the mix to kind of help drop that pH level down to where you want it to be at. Now, some of the trace minerals this is going to have, it does have small amounts of calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, copper, boron, manganese, all of those trace minerals, which are going to help with the way that your plants grow and uptake nutrients. Now, with these trace minerals, it actually will break down faster than some of the rock dust like azomite, which azomite we'll talk about later is another fantastic source of all your micronutrients, but your alfalfa will actually break down faster and will have those nutrients more readily available quicker than your azomite and rock dust will. Now, let's switch over to our kelp meal. Kelp meal is a fantastic source of vitamins, like mostly B vitamins and amino acids, but it also has 60 different trace minerals. So not only does it have your zinc, boron, copper, manganese like your alfalfa meal does, this also has more of them, even like your borons, your zincs, your irons, and things like that. You can use both of these together, which I recommend doing so because you're not going to get a complete nutrition out of just both of these. With the kelp meal, you are going to get that B vitamins, which helps with stress. That's going to help during your transitioning, during either transplanting. In an outdoor garden, it's going to help with the elements, whether it gets too hot, too cold, too much rain, too much wind, any kind of stress that's on that plant, that's going to help your plants out to make them happier and healthier plants. Your kelp meal, now it also has growth hormones as well. I'm not going to dive deep into them. There's one that I really like, but it does have your auxins, your gibberellins, and your cytokines. Now, it's mainly known more in a higher concentration of your cytokines, which what those do is they'll actually mobilize your nutrient uptake through your plant leaves, actually helps to create more chlorophyll for your plants, and it will increase the growth rate of your plants as well. So that's why, kelp meal, I can't stress enough to use more kelp meal. All it is it is cold pressed seaweed, whether it's your browns, your reds, anything that is from the sea that's out there. They take it out, they dry it out, they create it into a meal, and then it breaks down fast. You might see it in pellets, you'll see it in a liquid form. Liquid forms work just as well as your dry formulas does. Typically, I like to do these, I mix it into my soils in the beginning. Another one that's very hard to overdo, you can put it in 2 to 3 times. Let's say if we're doing On a indoor garden, I wouldn't do more than about a tablespoon per gallon. Outdoors, 1 to 2 pounds per 100 square feet. That's going to give you enough time to get these broke down, and it's also available fairly quick too. Unlike some of the different minerals that we'll get into later that take time to really break down, this is usually available within 2 to 3 weeks, broken down, ready for your plants to uptake those nutrients. Also, one other thing that you can do is you can make teas out of both of these too. So like when I was doing my compost tea video, all I had was just worm castings, bag guanos, sugars, and beneficials. You can also add these in there too. You're going to use them at a little bit smaller doses, but it will help get those B vitamins readily available, get your trace minerals readily available as well. On your alfalfa, actually both of those, I wouldn't go in at more than about a quarter of a cup per 5 gallons. That's going to give you enough in there. It's going to break down over that 24-hour period and have everything readily available. Like I said, these are both vegans formulas for a lot of people that don't want to use any type of animal products. This will help get those trace minerals in there. It will help get some calcium in there and your full macro and micronutrients as well. Definitely something I like to use in my garden every single year. I do add it to some of if I'm building up my own soils indoors. Now, when you're doing 5 and 7 gallons, it's hard to put enough in there in the beginning, so you might need to top dress with that as you're going out throughout the growing seasons. But again, you can add these things 2 to 3 times during the course of a year on your raised beds, and you could also add this one on an indoor garden probably no more than 2 times. Same way with this, 2 to 3 times through, because you got to think you're only on a 12 to 13 week course indoors, so 2 to 3 times is more than enough to top dress with these or making your teas with it as well to get those nutrients readily available for your plants. Well, guys, I hope this was a good, quick little rundown on these 2 nutrients. Check back with me next week. I'm going to do a couple more just to give you guys get an idea of what all of these amendments and nutrients will do to your plants. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.